here so that Carol gets back on because she seems to be on something else.
Did you send Rob Haskell an invite for this, I presume?
Yes, I did. But I think we can handle it, just the two of us, even if the others don't come.
Yep.
So let's just do this, this. Joel is here. Don't know how many people are going to be on here. We had 10 people register. Then welcome, Robin. Welcome, Robin. Which school are you from?
Vermont Academy.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Just waiting for 3 or 4 more. What's your title, Robin?
I'm the Director of Health Services.
Got it.
Let's see, I don't have my thing on. No. I don't know why my, maybe because you took it off.
Sorry, say it again?
I said, I don't know why my video's not on, but maybe because you guys turned it off.
You're not a panelist. So,
yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
But so you, we haven't talked before, right?
Right. I've been on a bunch of the other webinars, but no.
Got it. How's the control of the virus in Vermont going? It's pretty good, right?
Vermont's good. You know, I mean, it's kind of easier. I mean, I think with summer, there's been more, you know, people moving around, but we have a good setup, and the Department of Health has set up these pop-up testing sites, you know, just surveillance sites, actually that I've worked a couple of as a Medical Reserve Corps member. And so that's, you know, continuing to sort of give them information. And then there's been a couple clusters here or there just popping up as we would expect, but no real surge at all. It's been good.
Yeah, that's great. Welcome, Robin. Welcome, Chris. Robin, welcome, Mary, rather. Welcome, Chris. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Mary, where are you from?
I'm from the Gunnery School in Washington, Connecticut.
Got it. Welcome. And you're in the health department?
Yes, I'm the director of nursing here.
Okay, brilliant. Welcome, Chris from Lake Forest. Chris, can you hear us?
Yep, can hear you loud and clear. Thanks for having us.
Not at all. I know who you are. And we'll just wait a couple more minutes and then we'll start. How are things in Chicago?
Not too bad. I think, for a big city, it's not seeing an enormous surge. So I'm grateful that people are still being somewhat cautious about things. Although the sports have started to open up and we've had some schools in our area have to shut down just because of positive cases. So I'm beginning to think more and more it's going to be an indicator of the fall, but who knows?
Right. And what about you, Mary?
So we're kind of gearing up. Things are pretty quiet right now. Connecticut's doing pretty well, but that's at this moment in time, of course. And the school I'm at is a day boarding school. So with the plans of bringing everybody back in the fall. So I have some concerns about that.
Yeah, yeah. We have quite a few boarding schools on this. So I know Chris has been on these other webinars. Mary, have you?
I have, absolutely. And they're very helpful, yeah.
Okay, good. Well, we have 3 people who've been on all of them so far, so then we can see who else is joining this, and then maybe we can just go to questions as opposed to, or just outline things very, very quickly and take questions.
Okay.
Okay, Leandra, welcome. Which school are you from? Leandra, welcome. Are you there, Leandra?
Hello?
Hi, is that Leandra?
Yes,
Welcome. Where are you from?
thank you. I am from Connecticut, the Woodhull School.
Okay, great. Janine, welcome. Janine? Janine Cooper? Are you there? Janine, are you there? Okay, so we're going to get started. My name is Sanjay Ratnavel. For those of you who don't know me, we're joined today by Dan Walsh from Centogene. We're doing these webinars regularly so that we can take questions and outline the process, whether you're a school that's signed up or in the application process or haven't applied yet, but are thinking about applying. Just in terms of a background, we launched this partnership with Centogene. Centogene is a public company, for those of you who don't know it. It specializes in rare diseases, and it has significant testing capacity, which it's now deploying for the use of COVID-19 testing too. And it has various different labs all around the world and in the US. The partnership with Centogene has been structured in a way that allows schools in particular to access a significant portion of their capacity for tests, RT-PCR tests, and those are the kind of gold standard tests. If you haven't been on one of the other webinars, there is a school nurse panel webinar, which you can probably see on the screen here, and in that we outline all the differences. But basically this test is an oral pharyngeal test. It uses an oral swab, and it's done at a FDA-approved lab, a CLIA certified lab under the emergency use authorization that Centogene has for this test. These tests need to be done at one of those labs. We are offering this to independent schools and other schools who want to do this. And there is an application process, and I'm going to very quickly go through this. and then go into the actual process, and then take some questions. So in terms of the application process, there is an application form here that should be filled out by a head of school or a business officer. It asks you, obviously, when you're scheduled to start, and asks you about how many faculty and students you have. Most of the schools who have signed up are basically testing faculty and students, although some schools have been thinking about testing only faculty. I suppose in the same way that faculty get tested for TB and stuff like that. We need this information, obviously, to determine and forecast the amount of capacity of Centogene. As I said to you earlier, there is an oral swab here that is being used. That swab will have a numerical identifier on it, and that numerical identifier is the only thing sent to Centogene. No actual identifying information on the patient is sent. You keep that information. We provide you with a scanner that allows you to scan that, and you can buy more scanners on Amazon if you need to. The collection then is collected by one of our couriers. We will estimate the time frame for the couriers, etc., and I'll go through that process in a minute. And the transport has to be done in a specialized way to keep the samples at a certain temperature between 36 and 46 degrees Fahrenheit. And the logistics is estimated to cost around $10 per sample on top of the $88, which is what the cost of the test is. Right now, there is a lot of interest in us doing pool testing, and we are waiting for the FDA to approve the ability for EUAs to do pool testing. Centogene has already done some pool testing for other clients. I think Lufthansa and others are part of its client base. In terms of privacy, we do also provide you with a consent form. That consent form is really because there is data being transferred electronically from Centogene back to you. Even though it's a numerical data only, that still puts us into the realm of HIPAA and GDPR. And we have a consent form that basically validates the patient or the person, the student or the faculty member's consent and their ability to withdraw that consent. There is a deposit payable at the time of the application. If the application is approved, it's $5,000. That deposit is obviously creditable against future orders. If you're a member school and you have some left over, you can still use 2,500 of it towards any of our services. And so once you've completed the form, we basically then move on to providing you with a document that puts you through this process. And I'm just going to show you this document here. And ideally, we have at least 40 days or 30 days before you need the testing. You share with us the testing strategy. We confirm the week and the likely date of testing. We generate an invoice for that likely date of testing, and the 50% of the deposit has to be received by us. We ship the swabs to you. The swabs come with a scanner, as I said here. You would be sent the consent forms. You should ideally be able to get all those consent forms through your portals. And then the swabs are collected and sent to Centogene. So there is a document that looks like this, which asks you to fill out your requirements in terms of the testing strategy, what your likely quantities are, the best schedule. We prefer that the samples are picked up Monday through Wednesday, so that you have the weekend to look at the samples, etc. Ideally by 1 p.m. What that requires you to do, obviously, is to determine how you are going to collect the samples. And I'm just going to fast forward here. Will it be done in a carpool line? Will it be done in a gymnasium, on a field, under a tent? We will provide you with a video that you can share with your parents and staff It doesn't require any specialist expertise or medical expert to do this, but we recommend that a nurse or an EMT should be supervising the process. It's a very simple process. It takes 2 to 3 minutes per person. As I said earlier, there's an invoice that's generated. You can change the date, but we obviously have to reconfirm the date. We estimate the transport costs, and the transport costs will be firm based on the likely quantity ordered. So if you have less, the transport costs are still the same, even if you ship less. But if you ship more, the transport costs could be increased. We will just adjust that in a follow-up invoice. Once you receive the swabs, obviously you need to confirm that you got all the swabs. We send you the consent forms. And I think that's basically it. Oh, in terms of the result delivery, the results are delivered to 2 people that are designated by the school on an app that has a PDF of the results with the numerical identifiers sorted by positive, negatives, and failed samples. There are any failed samples. And it'll then be your responsibility to communicate that information to whoever you think is appropriate, supervisors or faculty members, students or parents, and the CDC or local health authorities if that's required. So I'm going to pause there. Dan, do you want to add anything before we take some questions?
No, I think you covered it. I'm looking forward to questions, see what everybody's thinking. Okay,
great. So I'm just going to take questions now. If you'd like to pose a question or pose some questions, can you put your hand up and I will unmute you, and we'll go one by one. So we'll start with you, Robin. Robin, I think you're unmuted already. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can. I mean, I could, but so I have a couple questions, and I might have just scanned everything wrong because I was away last week and just looked at all that timeline and everything today. But I think, Sanjay, you said that we'd get a scanner and order another scanner. I'm pretty sure that the information from Synergen said we had to order a scanner.
No, well, we're going to send you one, but you can order another one. So we don't know how many you want and how you're going to do the process, but as part of the package that you receive with all the swabs, you'll get a scanner. And we give you I'm trying to find where this is right now, but we give you a link to where you can buy similar scanners.
Okay. And then my other questions are, is part of our package including coolers, or do we have to have refrigerators?
Dan?
So the logistics persons or persons that pick up the samples after they've been used will have coolers, but between when you sample the student or faculty member and when they pick that sample up, they will need to be placed in a refrigerator, and typical refrigerators fall within that temperature range of 36 to 46 degrees.
And how big are each of the, sort of like each test packet, how big is it?
I'm going to show you one here. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. The actual tube is only maybe 2.5 inches long. And once the sample's taken, it'll all be self-contained in that. So it's fairly small.
So they don't go into, bags too. You just have the tube.
Correct.
Or does it go into a specimen collection bag? No.
No, but when the service comes to pick up the group of samples together, they will put them in a biohazard bag.
Okay.
And a cooling bag. So go ahead.
Okay, and then I have a couple of other quick questions, and I'll let other people have a turn. So I know it says, try to get all your samples collected in 6 hours, but could we do 2 days if then we've got our pickup scheduled for day 3? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
Sorry, you could do that. The question is the minimum transport costs. So we have to work out how much that is.
No, but I'm saying 2 days together.
Oh, 2 days.
like we did like Saturday, Sunday, and have a pickup on Monday, because that's within the 72 hours.
Well, it would be preferred if you did using those same dates, Saturday, early Sunday, picked up on Sunday. So the ones on Saturday don't fall outside that range. You know, we want to give ourselves enough time to make sure they get to the lab.
Okay. And then my
So,
last quick question, and I realize I haven't met with Carol yet because we've scheduled that for later this week, but what if, you know, our consents come in short, you know, like closer to the test date than that 10 days out? I'm not, you know, I'm just afraid.
We're relying on you to collect the test. We are not able to audit your test consent things. Otherwise, we will then know the names of the people. But it's one of your requirements to do that. So we're not going to be collecting any of your consent forms.
Okay. So that's just helping us. That timeline's to help us, not to.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, those are my questions. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Okay, who's next? Mary, go ahead, Mary.
Oh, thanks. I was just wondering what the turnaround time was for results.
So the turnaround time is basically 48 hours from the time it arrives at the lab. And that's for 95% of the samples. That's their legal wording, that they refuse to go beyond. But basically, you know, it should probably be 100% within 48 hours.
Okay.
And then usually 48 hours for it to get to the lab, barring any unforeseen things. So the total turnaround time is 96 hours, within 96 hours.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I think we've done Robin and Mary. Who else would like to ask a question? Just put your hands up, please. Yes, Chris.
What's the likelihood that pool testing becomes something that you all may have or be able to offer come August or September?
I think August, very unlikely. But really because even, I mean, the FDA, if you go onto the FDA site, is talking about it, right? But Centogene can't endanger its EUA by doing pool testing without them agreeing to it.
Got it. Okay, sounds good.
I think
Thanks.
wait, Dan and Rob, do you want to pitch in here? I know you've done pool testing for foreign clients, right?
yeah, no, the capability's there, the feasibility's there. It's been done. It's just a matter of getting the FDA to spec out exactly what their expectations are, and once that's published, we can move forward. I don't know if anyone's doing it in the U.S. yet. If you know, so.
Yeah, and without holding you to anything, would that accelerate? Would that accelerate the timeline if you were able to do pool testing? Would that 96 hours become 72 or 48? Is that a possibility? Or
I don't think so, Rob, Chris, because it's the transport cost there, and you know, it actually takes probably longer, maybe, because you've got to take all those 5 samples and then put them into one, because you're making one sample, and then once you've done it, you have to check if it's positive and maybe redo 5, right? So there's a kind of prep time. The actual amplification time of the test is a big portion of the cost, but I'm not sure it's so much of the time in the lab.
Okay, thanks.
Am I right, Dan?
Yeah, I don't see it decreasing the turnaround time. It would depend on our capacity at different labs, more than that, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you.
Okay, who's next? Anyone else?
May I ask one more question? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
But, this is Mary. I haven't seen your video of the procedure or anything, but just trying to think of the logistics. Is this, as an oropharyngeal test, is this something that can be self-administered, or, and if so, then you could do a large bulk of them with some instruction, or is this something that needs to be administered to each individual?
Dan?
So the EUA does not specify self-sampling. However, it does allow us to have somebody sample with the supervision of a medical professional. So those terms are sort of general in a sense, but if you are going through, if your students or faculty are going through a line, they could certainly do it with having the nurse oversee the process. And it's a pretty simple process, but the technical EUA does not specify self-sampling.
Okay, all right, thanks.
I don't know if that's helpful or not.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions? Tony, I think I just unmuted you in case you want to. Janine, you're unmuted. And Leandra, I think you're unmuted too. Any questions from any of you guys?
No.
Okay.
Can I ask one more? I'm sorry.
Well, listen, yeah, keep going, keep going. This is exactly what this is for.
Okay, so I haven't really taken a look at the contract, but is there a minimum amount of tests that we need to order, or how does that generally work?
Who's speaking?
This is Mary, I'm sorry, from the gunnery.
Well, there isn't a minimum amount of tests, but the question is the transportation costs can get quite high. So, I mean, it should be, you know, over 100 tests. And you presumably, how big is your school?
We have around 310 kids and around 115, 120 faculty and staff.
And you're planning to test both?
Right, so I need to do the faculty and staff initially, of course. And then the kids will get their first test prior to coming to school, and that 4 days prior on their own. But then I need to do everybody, so about 450 people at 7 to 14 days. And then weekly monitoring testing of 5 to 10% of the boarding population and boarding staff.
Yeah, well, that you're going to be fine. Those numbers are going to be well within the $10 and probably go down a little bit actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Well, listen, we do another one of these on Thursday in case you need to join on Thursday. Please get your applications in as soon as you can, because we've got a lot of process work that we have to put in place. And please reach out to any of us if you need any further information.
Thanks so much.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Dan and Rob, just stay on for a second.
Yes, I just wanted to ask, is there a minimum pickup days? You said, is it going to be once a week or is whatever?
No, you can determine. Is this Janine?
Yes.
Which school are you from, Janine?
Carrollton School.
In Florida?
Miami. We're in Miami.
Right. Now you can pick your date, but we prefer Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday because it gives you the weekend to, we put it in as a recommendation. So you've got the weekend to do all your administrative stuff, etc.
Hey, Janine, Rob Haskell. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good. I didn't realize you were with an Oasis. I saw that you contacted us. And I left a couple of messages for you, so I'm glad to make your acquaintance. And it seems like you're all plugged in and ready to go here.
Yes, yes. Thank you. I was just wondering, you said Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. So I'm like wondering, can it be more often than that? You know, can it be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, or Monday and Wednesday?
Yeah, you can do as many pickups as you want, so long as you phase. I mean, absolutely. It doesn't have to be one day.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay.
How big is Carrollton School?
We're close to about 850 students and about 200 staff, faculty and staff.
Right. Well, then you're going to probably want to do 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. You could do every single day.
Okay, everything. Okay, perfect, perfect. And Centerton wouldn't offer anyone locally, because I know you said it can be, you know, a nurse, or I'm just wondering, because we're considering maybe hiring an outside person, maybe a contracted person, just to do the samples. Have you heard of any schools doing that, perhaps?
Not really. I mean, don't you have any athletic trainers who are EMTs?
Not EMTs, but I know we do have certified athletic trainers. So that might be.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, Centerton doesn't have nurses on staff, and an EMT would be good enough. I think an athletic trainer, if they're appropriately qualified, Rob, is that what is the qualification? There's no expert medical healthcare requirement here, but there is a recommendation that it should be done by someone who's basically has some kind of healthcare expertise.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking maybe to use an agency even, you know, not necessarily be one of our own, but, you know, as long as they're certified.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so very much. And do you have a contact number? I think I've been calling that 5102 number. Is that a good number to call, or?
Do you have our emails?
Can I take that down just to make sure?
Yeah, I'll put it into the. I have your email. I'll send you the details.
Okay, perfect.
Afterwards.
Okay.
And we have, I think, one other question. Is that right? And that's Janine. Any other questions? Tony? Leandra? Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, thank you.
I think Dan dropped off, Rob. So maybe we can just revert to the other Zoom meeting. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant.
Sign off here and go back on the other link?
Yeah.
Yep, I'll meet you there.
Okay, bye.